This Aries full moon on October 7th is a moment for action. It's a moment where whatever has been limiting our ability to move forward in the way that we want bursts forth. We are breaking through something old compared to what we've been going through with the eclipses for the past month and more. Those were periods where we were being shown something in a faded way that is helping us for this moment now. This is a moment where we get to choose the action that we're going to take. In this general introduction, I'm going to give you 4 contemplative questions to sort through the energy of this moon best. This will also include a general overview of the moon, and this is where you get the juice of what this energy is all about in the sky. Then the sign by sign, check your sun, moon, and rising, and that will give you more of a picture, a snapshot of which part of your life you're going to see some of this energy play out. Thank you so much to everyone who has been watching, commenting. It's so much fun to chat with you in the comments and hear a little bit about what's going on in your world. It really makes this experience so joyful. But thank you just for being here, supporting, subscribing, liking. It really means so much. I'm Jen Keen from Full Cup Astrology, and this is your Western tropical whole sign general forecast, which is how it's broken down when we're talking about everyone's charts in a general way. The best thing to do is to get a reading with your own personal chart. That's going to give you more detail, more accurate information of how this is showing up for you. An Aries full moon is generally about taking action or something coming to fruition for action we've taken in the past, maybe 6 months ago at the Aries new moon. But it has to do with getting our needs met. It has to do a lot with Pluto right now. Pluto is firing up our desires, what truly motivates us to move forward in this world. And that's also going to be the piece of what motivates us for change and evolution. I like to describe it as God dangling little carrots for us to move us in the direction we want to go, but the carrot is our desire. So whatever it is that you want to create in this life, that you want to feel and that you want to experience, this is going to be a moment where we get one step closer. There is a bunch of beautiful supportive energy in the sky. Jupiter is still sextiling and trining the nodes, so that we still have this growth and abundant support from Jupiter to expand the tools that we have at our use from our past experiences and the direction that we want to go in this life. I'll get into more of the easy energy later. What I want to start with is the Mars-Pluto square that we have just finished, and now Mercury is squaring Pluto. Squares are Mars-based, Aries-based energy. It means action, and there's an impulsive and determined quality to the action that we take here. When there's a square to Pluto, it means there's high motivation in general to move towards what we want in this world. But there's something that needs to be purged and eliminated to do that. We cannot keep operating in habitual ways based on how we were raised, how we've been in the past, and what's easy to us, which is the South Node, and what we've been going through with eclipses. A lot of people are more aware that there's something that is a habit that is not actually who we feel we truly are or helping us get in the direction that we want to go. Mars and Mercury now in Scorpio, which is the sign of Pluto. Pluto rules Scorpio. So when these 2 planets in Scorpio square Pluto, which is now we have Mercury at the time of this moon, it's going to be more mental, more cerebral. But Mars is still here. There's still this desire to take action. It's not just sitting back and meditating and thinking about our psychological impulses, our psychological patterns and defaults, our reptilian brains. This is going to be a piece of it. There is a lot of energy that signals intuitive downloads and meditative qualities, but there's going to be a piece of taking that step to transform something at a psychological level. And that's going to open up more of that scorpionic energy and that ability to see into more realms. Every time we let go of something that is from our past conditioning, it opens us up to being able to tap into more. It is as if we're letting go of something heavy and rigid that lets the balloon raise a little higher and helps our perspective expand, even the tools that we have to access. And Pluto speaks to that in Aquarius. When we purge something in the sign of Aquarius, which is what Pluto can be all about, it's about looking at the shadow energies and the things that we would prefer not to experience or look at sometimes in this world. So the dark side, the more shadowy side of what it actually means to liberate ourselves, what it actually means to not follow the foundational normal patterns that we've created. There are sometimes repercussions to that. It feels uncomfortable. We can feel isolated and separate from the pack. We can feel like we don't know what we're doing when we're stepping into this uncharted territory. Yet there's so much space for intuitive downloads and connection with Pluto in Aquarius. When Mars and Mercury square Pluto, this means that the cerebral and communication parts of it are more highlighted, especially at this moon, because it's more Mercury that is moving into the exact square with Pluto at this time. And we've already been through the Mars part. So for each of us, there's going to be a focus on how we communicate to get what we want, how we use our perception of what's underneath the surface. That's Scorpio. And Mercury is our cerebral and communicative perception. How do we use that to our advantage, to purge, to release, to trust our intuition? Here are 4 questions that I think might help the processing. Notice the emotional space before taking action. That's the Scorpio element. And with Mercury here, we have the ability to observe this stronger than usual. The sun will soon join here too. We're already in scorpionic energy, and we're going to get a bit more of it this year when the sun follows Mercury and Mars. But the second one is acknowledge the action that you want to move towards. What is it? And is there an emotional context or a psychological desire behind that action that you want? Perhaps connecting the two. Is the emotional space that you are currently in matching or aligned with the direction you want to take action in? Number 3, what are the limiting factors from the emotional space that you are in currently to the one that you desire? And then what can be released at this full moon in order to move more towards the psychological and emotional space that you want for your desires? You might notice that with all of this scorpionic energy, it's not the same as recognizing the energetic space that we were in with Pluto and Virgo axis. This was about dreaminess and creating and doing. Sometimes more challenging emotional states, or the ones even with other people that are reflecting back to us, because that's a full moon. So what is it that you're seeing? Here's the 5th one. What is it that you're seeing in other people that makes you feel uncomfortable, that doesn't align with what you value, that doesn't align with the direction you want to go in this world? And how do you step into a different role? The element is not as much about the Virgoan energy that we've been in, which is getting all of our ducks in a row. This is about going into the depths of the emotional psychology in ourselves and in other people, working with it in an advantageous way. When I think about Scorpio energy, I think about, yes, there are manipulating factors in this world. There are negative or undesirable outcomes from that. Yet we also have desirable ones from that as well. Our inner motivations and qualities that we might deem not so good in society can also push us towards what is optimal and what is that much better in evolution. We need to see what's dysfunctional and what's not healthy in order to choose what's healthy. And that's where I find a part of acceptance and love for all of those qualities, whether they're in other people or myself, and most often both. Healthy manipulation is actually how we heal the mind too. We manipulate the past energy to shift into something that tricks the brain into a different reality before it actually gets there. And of course, many examples that come to everyone's mind when we talk about unhealthy manipulation. They are both the same scorpionic element. Same with plutonic desires. We can have healthy desires that motivate us towards a positive life, and they can even come from some of our more shadowy desires. This is going to show up differently for everyone, and I will get into the specifics of the areas for each sign. But just to highlight the positive energy that we are working with, we have Saturn and Neptune in sextile with Pluto and Uranus. And that is giving us that creative, inspirational, never been done before, divinely guided motivation. But it's coming from looking at these squares to Pluto. It's coming from looking at Jupiter and Chiron in square, which can bring up old wounds that make us even more inspired to heal that in ourselves and others. Jupiter is in sextile and trine to Venus and the South Node, to the North Node, and Saturn, and a little bit Neptune at a very wide angle. Jupiter is here to create massive expansion, and it's going to happen with love and pleasure with Venus there. Some people could have pleasures from the past dissipate in order to move into something more enjoyable when it comes to finances, romance, earthly pleasures of all kinds, and security. Saturn, Neptune, the North Node, and Jupiter's trine there is emphasizing that we have the creative capacity. We can dream things into reality if we really want to work towards that. At least the elements for creativity are going to be there, and they're going to be feeding into this overall Pluto energy. Wonderful time for writing and exploring psychology in whatever way that you do, whether that's with a therapist or your own personal exploration. I hope this energy of opening up our perception and the depth of our emotional capacity and ability to feel into the world is going really well for you. This moment is going to still feel more scorpionic, and at times even the weight of the expansion of the perception of what's really going on under the surface. Yet, a full moon in Aries allows us to take action, move in the right direction, feel like we have autonomy over taking care of ourselves and our own needs and getting what we want out of life. Now, let's see how this is showing up for your sign. Hi, Aquarius. This is the 3rd and 9th house axis full moon for you. The full moon is in Aries in your 3rd house. This is a Gemini house. But this is in Aries for you. So this is about you and your needs and your impulses. And likely a lot of Aquarians, because this rules your communication house, this is how you are motivated for your communication. Your mind and the words that you use are motivated by what action you need to take to get to where you want to go. With the sun in Libra in your 9th house, this is going to shine some light on how you can balance the integration of speaking and thinking about what it is that you want to move towards, and how do you incorporate other and the bigger perspective of the world. Your perspective. How do you keep an open mind about experiencing the world through a new lens in order to gain higher perspective as you go out throughout life? So there's going to be something you're going to release in your daily mental habits that are going to help you move towards more expansion in your ability to see the big picture. Jupiter is the classic ruler for the 9th house. So Jupiter represents 9th house topics, where the sun is for you, which is about this expansion of self, of mental space, of perception, and really diving into the experience that's required to get this expansion into what is foreign and unfamiliar. But it broadens our ability to see more, which is a really lovely quality. This is in your 6th house of habits and health and daily routines, the work you get done. You're going through a big healing journey here. And at this moment, it's more connected to your mental habits, the words that you use, and the way that you use that to take action. Pluto in your 1st house at this time and for the next 18 years. But at this moment, this Pluto position in your sign Aquarius could feel like a part of you is dying off that you don't want to let go of. There could be an element of resistance, yet at this full moon, there's a bursting forth into just doing it anyway. because you're recognizing that whatever it is that you're holding on to of that familiar part of yourself and that comfortable part of who you are as an Aquarius, being original and unique and doing what you want, doing what feels good for you, and knowing that what you want, there's a purpose that you're tapping into that's sometimes ahead of its time. So that's the element that helps you move in that Aquarius way of doing it anyway, because you know that the rest of the world might resist now, but in the future, they're going to appreciate what you've done. But this Mercury-Mars square from your 10th house to this Pluto in your first house is a quality that your reputation, your public image, your career, it is requiring something different of you. Maybe a bit of conformity, but it's not going to be conformity at the cost of your Aquarian uniqueness and the mission that you're on to create something radical and never been done before and better than before and better for everyone. It's going to help. It's going to help when you can conform a little bit to what other people are expecting of you in a public sphere and reputation space. Back to the 6th house, that means the habits, the routines, the health. There's elements in this reading for you of collaborating with other people, meeting people where they're at, which is also the sun in Libra in your 9th house, and that helps create a more expansive quality in yourself, in your perspective, in the way that you use your daily mind. Jupiter is also in sextile and trine to the nodes, and Venus in your 8th house. Venus in your 8th house could be money and resources from other people, money and resources from the past coming around. The south node here could mean that you're draining and releasing a way of merging energy, merging intimacy, merging assets and finances with other people. This is a really positive element, and it could be part of the motivation towards whatever else you're doing in career and changes with self. It's often Venus and Jupiter that help us move towards that which is pleasurable, expansive, enjoyable, stable with Venus. And with Venus, those earthly pleasures that we want out of life. Jupiter, that expansion and growth and new adventures that we want out of life. Through your daily habits, through work and health, through your connections with other people, whether that's shared resources, intimacy, bonding, psychological bonding, because the 8th house is the house of Scorpio and Pluto, and that's so highlighted at the time of this full moon. But there's a lot of reworking that Aquarians are doing with self right now, and if you're feeling resistance to that, it's perfectly normal. It's also an important part of the process, because it's the quality of resistance and contraction that helps us expand and move forward into something bigger. It's that piece that things are not static. And when they contract, they expand. And that's part of the change. That's part of the transformation and the metamorphosis, rather than just the slow and steady qualities that some of the other elements and signs can bring in to the picture. So don't be afraid of the resistance. Question it. Look at the psychology behind it, the Scorpio elements. Look at what action is going to be really helpful from a more cerebral, cognitive, communication-oriented piece for you. And you still want to align with self, but you want to make sure that you are working within the sphere of a healthy public image, healthy career choices, healthy daily life choices, and merging more deeply with other people, whether that's financial or intimacy. And there could be elements of people from your past, karmic people coming in at this time to help you with that process. I would love to hear how this is going for you, Aquarius. It's so much fun chatting with you in the comments below. And if you would like to chat with me one-on-one, my bookings are open again, and I will link that in the description as well. Have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you next time. Pisces, this is a second house full moon for you. So this is all about your worth, what you value, what helps you enjoy the pleasures in life and security from a place of what's important to you. And how do you value yourself in this process and your needs? How do you take initiation and action on these values? That's what's coming up right now at this full moon. With all full moons, there's a balancing of the moon on one end and the sun in the other. So the sun being in your 8th house could signify that this still has to do with merging with other people. But you're standing stronger on what matters to you and your own worth and value in the equation. And that's a healthy middle ground. That's a middle ground where you have more energy to merge with others, more ability to receive support and energetic or financial energy from other people. In the 8th house, there could also, because we have so much Scorpionic and Plutonian energy at this time, the 8th house is that house. So it could be very psychological for you. There could be major psychological awareness and transformation at this time. And Pisces is very comfortable in that realm. Yet the Scorpionic element, it can get a little darker. It can emphasize some of the things that in a Pisces realm of looking at all of the energy, it's more in this pleasant rose-colored glasses, everything is okay, everything is as it is and how it should be. But the water element of Scorpio compared to Pisces forces this transformation and recognition of some of the disturbing qualities in life, in ourselves, in other people. And it's from recognizing it as something that might be disturbing or darker or shadowy and embracing that and knowing that it is also in that Piscean way still okay to coexist with all of it. Making friends with that part of your life, with your partnerships, with yourself, and recognizing what you value in that process of more 8th house Scorpionic topics. There'll be stuff. They're going into the depths of what is going on underneath the surface and in its entirety is what creates more change towards what we really want, which is tying back to you and your values and what matters to you, what you take action towards in an Aries way, what you take impulsive action towards sometimes. Aries is the toddler phase energy where there's no consideration for the bigger picture. There's just action towards what we want, towards what we need, and assume that we're going to get what we want out of it. Yet at a full moon, when we're talking about 2nd house and 8th house topics, there's an element of understanding more of the full picture, what the repercussions can be of taking impulsive action from a psychological perspective for ourselves and others. And just making a more informed decision on all of that, which is a great balancing for Aries type qualities. Mars and Mercury are squaring Pluto in your 12th house from your 9th house. So you're really focused on the bigger picture right now, on what you believe, on your beliefs about the world and how you expand those beliefs. This is going to have an element that's expanding your connection to all energy. It's expanding your power to use energy in a way that's advantageous for you, the path you're on, and what you value. I love seeing this, and I've been saying it for so many Pisces readings for months now, but it is that wild transformation of what is already so Piscean in the 12th house for a Pisces person, that you're getting more in tune with your energetic connection to all things in so many ways. And there's an empowerment in that. There's an ability to do more for yourself and others as a result. It's going to come from letting go of fears in that department, letting go of fears of lack of control, and seeing how much control you really do have with an Aries full moon in your 2nd house. How much control you have over expanding your perspective, from being curious and experimenting with new things and feeling your way through it. It will reframe your mind. It will reframe your inner world, because Mercury rules your 4th house of Gemini. It also rules your 7th house of partnership. So there's an energetic reworking of what's happening with partnership as well. It's coming from looking at the psychology more in depth and how you use your mind and your language and the action that you take to support all of these parts of your life. This is very sorcerer type energy for Pisces. You are becoming the shapeshifter. You are becoming a master of your energetic realm, your psychology, and how that connects your home life, your inner world, your partnerships, your ways of expanding knowledge, and your ways of connecting to energy in a way that feels empowering, in a way that feels like you can have this openness to all of these things and not fully lose control, still be in the driver's seat in some way. A really cool moment for Pisces. I would love to hear how this is showing up in your world. It's so fascinating for me to hear about the Pisces path right now, and so much fun to chat with you in the comments. But thank you so much for being here, checking out this video. Have a wonderful Aries full moon, and I will see you next time. Hi, Aries. This is your full moon. This is a moment where you are breaking through self. You're releasing something that has been holding you back from different action with self and other. It's one thing to move towards what we need, but it helps us in ways we don't realize when we move towards what other people need too. Our partnerships, what are they reflecting back to you at this time? What are partnerships showing you at this time about yourself? About your ability to take action. Pluto is in your 11th house, which is transforming how you connect to others. It's transforming the way that you liberate yourself and move forward in the world in new ways. You're going to have elements of this Pluto in your 11th house for years. Especially this year, we've had this beautiful triangle with Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto. But especially at this full moon because of Mars and Mercury squaring Pluto. We've moved through the Mars-Pluto square, and now Mercury is moving into its square with Pluto. These are final cycles from your 8th house to your 11th house, which means there's something to purge about the way that you network and connect with other people in a way that shifts your psychology, in a way that you can communicate deeper. You can take action on psychological transformation. You can purge more about intimate bonds and what it means to connect with someone else energetically, financially, what it means to be supported in this world by your resources. That's Mars and Mercury in the 8th house. And other people's resources especially. Things that you receive from outer, not the resources that you create on your own. But ultimately, this is about you, maybe any area of your life. You're reaching a new level and a culminating point of who you are in this world. How you take action towards causes that matter to you. And there's going to be more of a psychological, scorpionic depth to it at this time. And the goal with Pluto in your 11th house is going to be elevating your communities, elevating your networks and your audience, and making that be about something that hasn't been done before. Making that be about evolution and forward progress. And at the same time, having more connection and humanitarian work in this. What's good for everyone? And it's not usually what's been done before. The whole point of our lives here on Earth, from my perspective, is to grow and change and get to the next best thing. It doesn't mean that we're always in forward movement. Sometimes that requires constriction and restriction and moving backwards onto the old until we realize there's something that could change and that we can break away from. And this happens in steps. This happens in small pieces. It's not always one big burst forward in a new direction. With a full moon in your first house, 6 months ago, you could have initiated something about yourself that you're finally seeing come to fruition, and you can take different action in your life as a result of. Jupiter in your 4th house is a big part of this shift. Jupiter is healing and expanding your inner world, where you came from, connections to your mother, your actual home right now, the family you want to create for yourself. There's an expansive quality that's connecting to you and this moon right now from Jupiter. And especially activating Chiron in your first house. So what is it about your own internal wounds from home and inner world that you're ready to shift and transform and make a different experience for your own family, for your current home life, for your networks and connections? And it's coming from a psychological place. It's coming from a metamorphosis of what you have been at a psychological level, maybe things that you don't want to look at. The North Node and Saturn are in your 12th house, so this can be an element of what's been hidden when both the 12th house and the 8th house are activated. You're about to see what it means to have both rose-colored glasses and the opportunity to connect to the beauty of all that is and the way it's supposed to be and the energy that connects us all, as well as integrating the depths of what has been at a psychological level, where humanity has been, and those areas that are not so rosy, but very real. And in that Neptunian world, there's room for both. And it's important to have both. Recognizing the shadowy aspects in life and the things in life that we typically don't want to look at, it's through that awareness that we have the opportunity to create something new and to transform what was painful, especially with Chiron, into something that is healing and helping and connection with others because of Pluto in your 11th house. Sometimes it's the recognition of wanting to move from what is more shadowy and less than ideal towards what is ideal. That is the glue that bonds people together. And this is a moment where you're more aware of yourself, you're more aware of your motivations, you're more aware of what matters to you, the mission that you're on, the action that you want to take. You can even feel like a warrior for home and psychological healing and more of spiritual expansion in a way that helps your communities, helps the networks you're a part of, and helps you feel more connected in all of those areas as a result. But you let me know. I would love to hear how this is showing up for you, Aries. It's always so much fun hearing from you in the comments and chatting a bit back and forth. But thank you for being here, for checking out this video, liking, subscribing. If you would like to process more with your personal chart, I will link that in the description below. Have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you next time. Hi, Taurus. This is a 12th house full moon for you. So this is all about hidden realms, energetic world. This can be places that are separate from functional society. This could be a time of rest. Where the sun is in your 6th house is the opposing energy that is about work and health and one step in front of the other to get towards what you're trying to accomplish. There needs to be a strong balance of work and rest in the world, engaging in worldly duties and service, and taking time to connect with energy and rest and divine information. We're only of service when we're being fueled by energy ourselves. If you're getting a time out in life right now, it is for this purpose. It is to give you more fuel to move towards what you want. I think that's a great energy for Taurus because Taurus is very stable and steady in working towards what it is they need to achieve to experience pleasure and stability and all of the sensual, lovely things that this world has to offer, like music and money and romance. Because Taurus is so stable in this process, there's not a quality of burnout compared to some other signs. But when you have a full moon in Aries in your 12th house, there's hidden action being taken. There's action behind the scenes. There's action that you might not be recognizing in the rest and retreat from everything. Sometimes a lot happens in nothingness, and that's what a full moon in your 12th house is all about. Maybe you're able to take more energetic action before the work that you do in this world. Mercury and Mars are in your 7th house, squaring Pluto in your 10th house. There's something about partnerships that's going on here that is helping you think differently, helping you speak differently out in public, your reputation is the 10th house, your career, your public visibility. Pluto is transforming that, and there's a lot of lovely, intuitive, other energy going on here with Neptune and Saturn in sextile to Pluto. But with this current Mercury squaring Pluto and what we've just been through with Mars squaring Pluto, there could be frustration in communication with other people. That is an element to just reframe and reconstruct your cerebral approaches to these things. And it's going to set your status and your reputation in a much better place. Because this full moon is happening in your 12th house, there's a heavy reliance on your intuitive ability and your ability to check in to energy rather than looking at just the maybe more frustrating qualities in partnerships right now. You could also be motivated by partnerships. There could be some merging going on, signing of contracts that are happening really quickly, and it's changing your career, it's changing your reputation. A square can show up in a really quick and easy way sometimes, but the quick change in itself is what can feel abrupt and uncomfortable. Or there can be actual friction that you have to move through. Mercury is the ruler of your 2nd and 5th house. This could have to do with what you value, how you communicate what you value, how you think about what you value. This is the house of Taurus. So are your daily thoughts and communication, even the material that you take in, is it in line with what really matters to you? And with the 5th house, is it in alignment with what's really authentic to you? What's fun? What is play? What is hobbies? These are topics that can come up too. Maybe it's through your hobbies with the 5th house. Partnerships are being highlighted and the communication there is shifting in some way. All of this for Taurus goes back to your 12th house. When you have a full moon in the 12th house, it is about tapping in to your intuitive connection to what's going on more than the physical, practical details that are showing up. So if you're having friction in communication or your thoughts, or other people are, it could be with Mercury and Mars in your 7th house that other people are showing up with sharp communication, with you're seeing the darker psychology that's showing up in other people, but you're also seeing the quality of transformation in them. You're seeing that there's an energetic process with the full moon in the 12th house and Scorpio in your 7th house, that you trust that there's a cycle of change, and it's deep change when it's Scorpio in your 7th house. And this is what you're attracted to in other people too. You are attracted to people who have these scorpionic qualities of a lot of depth and mystery and more going on beneath the surface, more going on than what meets the eye. But when it gets inflamed by Mars, when it gets brought up in communication with Mercury, it's just a bit more elevated. And because this is your opposing energy with Scorpio in contrast to the typical Taurian qualities that you're comfortable in, there could be discomfort that comes from that, yet it is meeting in the middle somewhere and finding your own ability to psychologically transform how you connect with other people. That's going to be a big element. A full moon in your 12th house can also bring in a lot of trust and unconditional love for other people because of what's going on with Mercury and Mars in your 7th house. Ultimately, this is going to transform your reputation, your status in the world. It will bring more fun. It will bring more pleasure with Venus in your 5th house. And Uranus is in your 2nd house. So you are going through radical change of what you value in some way. You're breaking a mold of what you valued in the past and what you're moving towards now. But you let me know, Taurus, you're going to know best how this is showing up in your life. And it's so much fun hearing those in the comments below. If you would like to process more with me with a one-on-one Zoom reading, I will link that in the description as well. But thank you so much for being here, for checking out this video, for liking, subscribing, sharing. It means a lot. Have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you next time. Gemini, this is an 11th house full moon. So how is it that you are integrating self and the larger communities that you're a part of? How are you integrating self and the greater good? How are you finding that balance of what is unique and revolutionary and aligned with what really matters to you, aligned with the action that you want to take? Very likely there's a quality of Jupiter in your second house highlighting this, which has to do with your values. Your assets are expanding, your values are expanding, your self-worth is expanding, and that's creating an element of friction with where you've been with connection with community. You could have a Chiron type wound when it comes to connection with community and being of service to the greater good that is motivating your action. So it means that something that's hurt you in the past, that's a very sensitive place about connecting in a way that's revolutionary and different and unique, something that hasn't been done before. There could be a pain around breaking the mold. And Gemini is an energy of curiosity that typically binds all sorts of information from all types of people. You get along with everyone because of this quality. You can connect cerebrally with most people because of this quality. Yet there's an element of staying in past mental constructs with Gemini because it is a combination of everything that has been done, ideas that have been thought of. And this is wonderful. This is super functional to have this wonderful skill of integrating all of this information. But with a full moon in Aries in your 11th house, you're going to be taking this skill and putting it into something bigger, something that's different, something that is not, okay, maybe it's based a bit on the information that you've taken in, but it's the next level that hasn't been done before. Mercury and Mars are in your 6th house, and that has to do with fuel to get things done, fire to get things done. There could be frustration in the tasks and the service that you have to do on a daily basis. There could be inflammatory stuff that happens with your health because Mercury is your ruling planet. When Mars conjoins Mercury, there's more irritation, there's more inflammation, but there's also motivation towards change and to get things done. Pluto in your 9th house is where Mercury and Mars are squaring. Mars has already squared, but it's still in connection, and Mercury is building into its precise square. With Pluto in your 9th house, this is your bigger perspective on the world, your belief systems. If you're publishing or writing, that's the material you put out in the world. If you're a teacher, it's what you teach. Maybe you have teachers in your life that are part of shifting your perspective right now. Because this is a moment of a full moon, this energy is going to be connected to what you can do for community and networking that serves your new perspective better. And it's going to come from your health and daily tasks and your service. When you have Jupiter in the 2nd house, you want your service, Mercury and Mars in the 6th house, to be aligned with what you value. You want it to have the capacity to change and transform your perspectives on the world on a regular basis and put it into constructive use, especially the 11th house connection. The constructive use that has to do with community and networks. And really, this is where we have a society that functions in an optimal way for everyone involved. Uranus is in trine to Pluto as well, and Uranus is in your sign. So I haven't been talking about it with other signs so much, but Uranus is the natural ruler of the 11th house. It is also the ruler of Pluto in Aquarius right now for you. So this is, and just Uranus in your 1st house or in your sign in general is going to be creating radical evolutionary change. You're breaking the mold of who you were. You are stepping into new intuitive realms that are feeding all parts of your life, but it's really an electrical reprogramming of your own energy. And this is in beautiful connection to the Pluto transformation that's happening in your 9th house and your perspectives of the world. So I see a lot of Geminis here adding genius type energy to how you're connecting in your community. The ways that you've connected with networks and friends and your audience in the past is no longer going to cut it moving forward. There's something ending there. there's a realization, there's something being born and coming to fruition, ultimately with your connections, but it's coming from a lot of these areas of self-transformation. And particularly at this time, the day-to-day mundane things that you do and how that feeds your mind, how that feeds your connections, how that feeds your networks, your communities. And when you're putting energy into that, like you are at this full moon, the payoff will be big. Your ability to feel connected, yet yourself. You're taking action that matters to you, not just for the greater good. And that can revolutionize the sixth house energy too, of how we are of service to ourselves and others. And with an Aries full moon, that element of self-action and being a warrior for what you need is feeding into all of these other parts of your life right now. And that's where you get more satisfaction out of the work that you do, your health, your daily tasks. It is when it is aligned with self, Jupiter in your second house, aligned with your values, that all of this other beautiful stuff comes together. But I want to know what's on a Gemini's mind right now. With your ruler connected to Mars in Scorpio, I want to know what kind of psychological revelations and reversals and transformations are coming about your daily tasks, your mindset, your belief systems, and ultimately beautiful connections to the rest of the world and people that matter to you. If you would like to process more with your personal chart, I will link my booking site in the description below. But for now, have a wonderful Aries full moon, and I will see you next time. Hi, Cancer. This is a 10th house full moon for you. So this is all about status, reputation, changes you're making out in the public. This is your work, your career, anything to do with how other people see you. This is a big moment of fruition when it comes to you because Jupiter is in your sign. And there's an element of tension to the moon to Chiron in your 10th house where your self is expanding in great ways and it's breaking through old wounds. It's helping you serve from a place of compassion for yourself and the wounds that you have worked through when it comes to career and public reputation, and moving into service and help of others. And people are seeing you in that light. People are seeing you as a healer and someone who can help them be more self-oriented in work. This is a full moon, so the polarity of the sun in the 4th house of Libra and other people is still very strong. So there's a connection of moving towards what matters to an individual, what matters in leadership, working for yourself in alignment with what you need out in the public. Yet there's a quality that you're helping other people do this for themselves too, and then everyone can meet in the middle. And that's the more ideal version of this, but it's going to be a strong element for most people. Mars and Mercury are in your 5th house, squaring Pluto in your 8th house. This is a beautiful opportunity for more intimacy, improved shared resources. Something is shifting and releasing in shared resource and intimacy department that is motivated by fun, authenticity, creativity. Maybe dating and romance are part of this equation for you. You could be really fired up about those things that bring joy to your life because they're aligned with who you really are. If this is romance, there could be a deepening of intimacy and bonding that's quite rich at this time. You could be moving through old blockages that you didn't even know were there, that were holding you back from deeper bonding and merging. That could change your status for some of you as far as this full moon in Aries. For others, there's just going to be more motivation to move towards what is authentic to you in your public image, in your intimate bonds, in resources that are shared with others especially. It can be easy in this life to go along with the group when it comes to financial support that you're getting. But when it's aligned with what really matters to you and what feels authentic, there's even more room for receiving from the world because we're in that alignment with self. As a nurturer, Cancer, this can be a trap that some Cancers fall into, is that the element of being able to nurture self and nurture others has a protective quality to it. And it's lovely. It's safe. It's home. It is an important quality that we need in the world. But the tension of Aries is about taking more self-oriented action, being a warrior for something that matters to you. And maybe that is Cancerian type qualities. Very likely it's going to have to do with children, with being creatively more you, with the emergence of a creative project of some kind. Because this is the 5th and 8th house, there could be elements of pregnancy and transformation regarding that topic. That's going to be for a small few of you, but I figured it's worth mentioning. Regardless of the physical ways that this is showing up, the element of Mercury and Mars in your 5th house, and Mars is the ruler of the moon, and Mercury is the ruler of your 3rd house and your 12th house, there's an element of expressing what really matters to you, expressing your creativity. There's a matter of unconditional love, trusting the process, trusting the transformational process of the death and loss of something, and knowing that in that there is gain on the other side of the cycle. Venus currently in your 3rd house in Virgo with the South Node adds an element of enriching your communication and your thoughts. This could be cousins, close neighbors, relatives, short distance travel, but it's the mental and communicative part of your life. Communication wise, Mercury is with Mars, and that can create a fire and sometimes a frustration and an abruptness communication that is quite jarring and aggressive. But when you have Venus in the 3rd house with the South Node, you are drawing on your skills of making that vocabulary come across in a beautiful, heartfelt, constructive, safe way. And because of the natural nurturing element of Cancer that's quite intuitive and caring of other people, that's a quality that comes very naturally to you anyway. But it did stand out, and I wanted to mention that as far as some of the dualities of the type of energy that could show up. Anything that does feel more conflicting and urgent and jarring is because it's striking your creative impulse. It's striking something that's authentic to you and it really matters. And very likely it needs to be put out into the public in some way. It needs to be something that you are taking into a leadership quality for other people. And maybe even in intimate bonds. When you step into this urgent authority, more assertive quality that you also have, nurturing can still be there, but this is more of the elements that you're tapping into that help actually get things done, that help you move in the direction of career and intimacy and finances and creative self-expression that you really, really want. I would love to hear how this is going for Cancers out there. You are so protected all year with Jupiter in your sign. The changes that you're going through, the transformations, and speaking of pregnancy, Jupiter in your 1st house is a very fertile energy. That definitely could be an element for many of you. So no matter what's happening on your journey, trust that there's a natural cycle of letting go and rebirthing something right now. It's going to help your status in the world. It's going to shift who you are in the world. And it's going to keep you in alignment with what you really want to move towards, and what matters to you. Have a wonderful full moon. If you would like to process more with me, I will link that link in the description below. And I will see you next time. Leo, this is a 9th house full moon for you. So this is all about your perspective in the world. The way that you dive into experiences that you don't know a whole lot about just to get more information. Because it's through personal experience that we learn the most, that information about how the world works, and especially from our own perspective. That's what we really need. It doesn't come from books and reading past ideas. It comes from experiencing something that is completely foreign and completely new, so that you know what it feels like, what it smells like, what emotions it brings up in you. With the sun in your 3rd house, there's going to be an element of how is this useful? How does this go into your practical world of communication and mental constructs that you put into function and mental constructs that you put into things. Because we use the third house to get things done. We use it to send emails, to communicate with others, and to process our own worlds in a day-to-day basic way. Mars and Mercury in your fourth house are squaring Pluto in your fourth house. So there's something heating up that has to do with your family, the place you came from, your inner world, your mother, your homeland, your actual home. Homeland, place that you were born in, home that you were raised in, your family lineage. You are on fire right now with sorting out that inner world stuff, that home-based influence in your life, and how that can transform your relationships. And it's going to be through this element of the moon in your ninth house of experience. Just dive into it. Do what you feel you're called to in relationships. What is it that you are desiring in relationships? What needs to let go in your connections with other people to get there? And what needs to change in your inner world, your home life? Mercury squaring Pluto is the ruler of your second house and your 11th house. There's an element here of your home life that might be rooted in what you value, your sense of self-worth, your need to connect with other people. The influence from your organizations can be an element that develops our inner worlds and our sense of home and safety in this world. When Mars and Mercury are together like this and they're squaring Pluto in your 7th house, there could be elements of your self-worth and your connection to communities, networks, audience, internet, things that you get from other people that are holding you back from your best relationship. They're holding you back from transforming how it is that you connect with other people. The sun being in Libra right now, and the sun is your ruler. So this is a relationship focused time. Even though the full moon is happening in your ninth house, you could be connected to foreign people in foreign places. And if you are in relationships with people that have qualities that are different than yours, that you haven't experienced fully, this is the learning ground. It's putting yourself into these relationships and experiencing this different way of being through them that's going to help transform and improve your relationships as you go through this long Pluto in Aquarius 18-year journey. Jupiter is helping you out from your 12th house. So this is about your intuition around all of these topics. This is also highlighting more overseas topics. So 12th house can represent overseas places, faraway lands, long distance travel, as well as the 9th house, which is more about the spiritual experience of something far away or foreign to you. For some of you, actual overseas topics could come up and traveling to foreign places, but there's going to be more of an element of integrating something at a spiritual, intellectual level that has the ability to transform your partnerships that's going to matter here. You might have some wounds show up with Chiron in the 9th house of Aries around who you are as an individual in foreign circumstances, in foreign lands with foreign people. Who are you when things clash and are different than those that you're around, especially partnerships that you merge with? This moon is going to be about merging both. This moon for everyone is taking action towards what matters to you, what your needs are. Yet there's an element of merging with others who are on that same path. And that's where the joining forces can come in what seems to be opposing when it comes to self and other and this axis of Aries and Libra. If we're merging with other, are we losing ourselves? If we're taking too much autonomy, are we losing our connection with other? But when two people are on this autonomous, explorative, because your 9th house journey, then those two people can figure out constructive ways to meet in the middle and understand and trust the process of being an individual and working towards your own needs in this process. Venus in your 2nd house with the South Node is helping you connect to what really matters to you at an energetic level. And it is in beautiful sextile to Jupiter, which means that you could be going over the top with your values. But this is an important part of the process right now. If it has to do with dissociation and indulgence, there's going to be a recorrecting of some of that energy as your perspectives change in relation to that indulgence. So what you value has the opportunity to shift. What you value in Venusian things when it comes to earthly pleasures, this experience could help you release one quality and move towards other Venusian qualities that are more aligned with where you're going. So that's the thing with these scorpionic cycles and south nodes and releasing something that was a part of ourselves, but no longer needs to necessarily continue to be so. It can feel like a death of self that is hard, that we have resistance to. Yet when these astrology cycles come into play, bit by bit, they show us the carrot at the other end, which is the desire to be something different, gets stronger than the desire to stay the same, to have the same values, to have the same indulgences, to have the same pleasures. And we start to get more pleasure in things that we have not yet experienced, which is the moon in Aries in your 9th house. So let me know. I would love to hear from Leos. What is it that is a new desire? What is it that you're shedding of an old desire? Or maybe there's something completely different coming to the surface with this 9th house Aries full moon. You could be teaching or getting a new teacher of some kind, writing and publishing. So many different options. But I hope regardless of what's playing out, you're having a wonderful time. Thank you so much for being here. It's so much fun chatting with you in the comments and meeting with you for Zoom calls. If you would like to hear more about your personal chart, check out my booking link in the description below. But for now, have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you next time. Virgo, this is a full moon in your 8th house. This is about deep bonding, merging with another person at a psychological level, but merging with yourself in a new way, because this is Aries. It is learning how to connect energetically and receive from other people while you keep your own energy autonomous and matched to your own needs. There's going to be an element of what you value, what's important to you, your own self-worth with the sun in Libra in your 2nd house. And you're coming to value your needs and what you need on this axis. With Libra in your 2nd house, a lot of Virgos can have a natural tendency to put more emphasis on what other people value. This is because Virgo is a sign of service, and there's a duty to meet other people's needs. But this full moon is going to help you do both. You're going to be able to match your own needs and merge with others where those are aligned. You have Venus in your sign with the South Node, so this is a wonderful time for past romance, past finances. There could be some releasing of old finances and ways of being in relationship that are really going to help you move forward, especially with this sextile from Jupiter and Venus right now in your sign, and Jupiter in your 11th house of connection and long-held wishes coming true. It's through networks and new people and your internet connections, your audience, how you connect with the world around you and work towards something that is good for all, that is helping you add more Venusian qualities to your life right now. And you're realizing that moving towards pleasure and security and enjoying the sensual side of life is a good thing. More of that in a Virgo's life helps perpetuate more expansion and connection to other people, expanding your audience, expanding your ability to feel like there's an exchange of energy with self and other. And in that, there's a lot of opportunity for healing of self here, especially at a psychological level. Mars and Mercury are in your 3rd house of communication in Scorpio. They are squaring Pluto in your 6th house of health, routine, work, service. So this brings me back to the element of the way that you are bringing service into the world is up for complete transformation. You're changing your mindset around it. You're changing the way that you talk about things, you communicate, the way that you express some of the scorpionic topics in life. You might be changing the mental control that you have over yourself. And that comes through the daily ways that you use your mind to help support this transformation. There could be some conflicts that come up with health and work and service and your daily routines. And it could be from neighbors, it could be from short distance travel, siblings, close relatives, but it's going to have to do more with an element of mindset and communication. Virgos out there could be working on their communication, on assertiveness, on expressing what matters to you. And with Venus in your sign, you have the gift of eloquence and being able to put that forward in an assertive yet well-received way. You're tapping into skills that you already have with the South Node and Venus here together. So keep that in mind if things do get heated. This is a time to draw in those Venusian qualities and know that love can be at the core of some of these tougher conversations. And tough conversations need to happen in order to maintain that source of love and enjoyment in the world. Your ability to experience pleasure in a way that you should. Virgos sometimes forget that. It gets caught into service and task orientation and health, and sometimes forgetting the true element of all of that is being in a space that feels loving towards yourself and towards others. So there's going to be some balancing to do there. Communication is going to feel more fired up. When Mercury and Mars come together, you could feel more inflamed, you could feel more agitated, you could just have more energy and motivation and gusto to initiate projects that you want to get off the ground. And this could be hugely transformative in your health and your work and the things that you do because of the connection to Pluto in beautiful angle from Uranus, from Saturn, but maybe in a challenging way with your communication and Mars, with Mercury and Mars. And that's okay. It's okay to have, because that's what creates the necessity to do something in the moment. We have to get uncomfortable sometimes. But I see so much supportive, lovely energy here that anything that's uncomfortable is going to be a source of motivation, putting into test and challenge, maintaining that Venusian skill that you already have. Uranus in your 10th house could create revolutionary changes in how you are seen in the world. Virgos have a lot of cerebral activity to offer. And when it has a touch of Venus in your side, it has a touch of Jupiter in your 11th house, which is the typical house of Uranus. But Uranus in the 10th house is stepping into a new way that other people see you, a new way of leadership. You're using divine guidance and intuition to follow and carve out a new path, not what's done before. But you're using this in a very intellectual way because it's in the sign of Gemini in your 10th house. So people are looking at you for your cerebral qualities, your ideas. And because of this, it enables you to step into a more leadership role. And other people need this in some way. Very likely with the full moon in your 8th house, this could be an example of your own psychological healing and transformation, your own ability to bond and merge with other people and heal a Chironic type wound around that. So if you are merging and bonding with people, you're fueling that from a place of experience and softness and true compassion for the pain that people hold. Some of you could be a leader in that department. You could be speaking about your own transformational experiences at a psychological level and how that has the opportunity to impact your career, the work that you do out in the world. And that's a huge service to be able to offer and share with other people. And as we move through times where we are becoming more psychologically aware year by year and week by week, we need more open communication about that. And that's where this Mars Mercury comes in for you. You're starting the conversations, you're opening the communication and the space for all of that. And in the process, you're going through your own transformation and healing. Yet, with Uranus in the 10th house, there's a leadership out in the world element of that for you too. I would love to hear how this is going for you, Virgo. Let me know what you're feeling with Venus in the first house, and hopefully everything's being well received no matter what you're doing. And this 8th house moon, the transformation that's possible, the bonding and merging and connection that's possible is quite beautiful. So it's so much fun chatting with you about that in the comments below and on the one-on-one Zoom calls. I will link my booking site in the description below. Have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you next time. Libra, this is a full moon in your partnership house, your 7th house of Aries. This is definitely a time where a culminating point in your relationships is showing up. You are different. They are different. Venus is currently in your 12th house, and that speaks to me as dissolving old ways of being in relationships. Previous values that you have held as well about yourself and about the things that you want out of life. Mercury and Mars are traveling through your 2nd house, which adds to this topic of values. Venus is the classic ruler of Taurus, which is the position of the 2nd house. So there's an overlap of dissolving what was old so that you can work in a new ideal, which is the 12th house. If there's been something you're not looking at with relationships, this is definitely a time where that could show up and you could realize some hidden things about yourself, your way of being in relationships, your partner themselves. Venus being the ruler of your 8th, there's going to be some topics more around the merging of energy. That's what's influencing your change in relationships, whether that's a new level with the relationships that you're currently in. And this is business, romantic, marriage partners, contracted karmic relationships also show up in this house. So this is any other person that's really important to us and that we have a long-standing relationship with. This new level is also not surprising in that Saturn and Neptune are dipping back into Pisces in your 6th house for the last time. In early 2026, when they move permanently into your 7th house of Aries partnerships, this is a brand new cycle of stability and creativity, unconditional love. This is the type of energy when Saturn and Neptune go into your 7th house that you will feel more grounded in your ability to create your dreamlike vision for relationships. You might also get some lessons around what that means to ground that energy. It's not always easy when we have a vision that is energetic and all-encompassing and ideal, which is Neptune, getting that into the reality program of Saturn and making it work in a functional level. It sure could have its challenges. This moon is one of the last clearing points that you might need before early 2026 when these cycles begin again. There could be a few others, but this is certainly a significant one. So the questions for you, Libra, is what is it about your old ways of being with other people, merging with other people, sharing perspectives about the world? What are you adopting moving forward, and what are you letting go of that's holding you back from creating that ideal vision with Venus in the 12th house? That ideal vision of romance, comfort, earthly pleasures, sensuality. There could be subconscious sensual things that come forward that you didn't realize you needed and that maybe you didn't realize you value so much. And that gets brought forth into your relationships and creates a whole new way of being. You only get this full moon in your relationship sector once a year, and once a year you'll have a new moon there. Once a year you'll have the full moon. So this is a big turning point. Mercury and Mars in your 2nd house are squaring Pluto in your 5th house. This energy represents something in your life that has to do with your values. There could be different situations showing up for everyone, but there will be situations that are completely transforming what you feel is authentically you in relationships. what you feel really opens your heart and makes you be able to express from a creative place that feels authentic and real to you. Your ways of dating, your connection with your children or children around you. How do you play and how do you open up your heart in that context? With Pluto transiting your 5th house, you could go through, most Libras will go through major transformation with this creative self-expression and who you feel like you truly are. And when that happens, the people that are important to us shift as well, because we need matches to that heart frequency, which is the 5th house. This will be a longer journey with Pluto. It's just getting started at the early degrees. We have 18 more years of this heart-opening transit for you. But this is still a very significant moment along the way. Jupiter in your 10th house is relating to career status and your reputation out in the world, which is having this beautiful trickle effect down to the moon, the nodes, Venus in your 12th house. So the things that I've been speaking about with relationships and desires that are subconscious, or maybe romance that's hidden in some way in the 12th house, there's an emphasis on this from your 10th house, which is your status and your career and your visibility in the world. It could be something that your career and visibility is an ingredient in shifting relationships for you right now and what you value. Or your relationships changing is what's changing your status. That's another element for some Libras out there. Uranus in this mix from your 9th house, you might not see the type of intuitive downloads that are coming into you that are changing the way you view the world. Your beliefs, your perspectives, your experiences with foreign things, your ability to be a teacher to others, and teachers coming into your life, they could come in quickly. They could have radical change that is also connecting to Neptune and Saturn in your 6th and 7th house over the end of this year and beginning of next year. So I'm mentioning that more for Libras because of this moon being on your 1st and 7th house axis, which is a very major place to have a full moon. If you're around 14 degrees or give or take 5 degrees on each side of that for any positions in Libra, extra emphasis on this moon. And Uranus as a player means that there's something from your belief systems that's radically changing, that you're breaking the mold of old patterns from an experiential level. You're not just thinking about it, you're putting it into practice, you're throwing yourself into new experiences, and that's part of what's going to create this new beginning in partnerships. I would love to hear how this is showing up for Libras out there. It is so much fun chatting with you in the comments below. And if you would like to process more with your personal chart and a one-on-one Zoom reading with me, I will link my booking site in the description. But thank you so much for just being here, liking, subscribing, hanging out, sharing the video. It means a lot. And I will see you next time. Hi, Scorpio. This is a 6th house full moon for you. So this is all about your habits, your health, your daily routines, your service to yourself and to others in the world. How do you get things done? How do you organize your life? Saturn and Neptune are beginning their transit in this part of your life. Saturn has just moved back into Pisces, but it will be back again by early next year when this cycle is in Aries for good. You are going to get the really solid movement towards whatever it is that you want to create in your daily habits. Saturn is going to help you with that. It will come so easily. Any discipline that you want to add to that part of your life or restructuring, Saturn will help slow things down, and you won't be making as hard of an effort when Saturn comes to help. Saturn takes a bit of the weight, but we still take the action. It's just that we don't usually have as much resistance. We want the change that Saturn is bringing. This full moon, I think, is more about bringing to your attention what it is that you do want to change. You might start seeing more of habits and service that you can create that are going to make your life that much better, that are going to help you in the direction you want to go, improve your health, especially if things have been foggy or unclear or inflammatory conditions. Saturn can be great to come and cool that down. But this is an awareness moment for you. This could be the end of something, certainly. But with full moons, something comes to light. And in the 6th house, I think it's going to apply to that. When this comes to light, you are going to start the process of what Saturn is going to come here to complete for 3 years, starting early 2026. Mars and Mercury are in your sign. This is an element of fire in the watery arena of Scorpio. You could be feeling more motivated to talk about scorpionic topics. You could be more motivated to go into that Scorpio self where you are going below the surface. You're seeing below the surface. You might feel motivated or frustrated or starting new projects related to self and how you work with that under the surface energy in your own life. What is going on under the surface? Are you sharing that with other people? Mercury and Mars are squaring Pluto. Mars has completed this by the time of the full moon. Mercury is moving into a precise square. And this energy is going to completely turn around what Pluto's doing for your home life, your inner world, the place that you came from, your family lineage, your mother. This is a lot of disrupting old patterns, old ways of being, stuff that's been handed down to you. Completely changing your home is a possibility. But the energetic piece is revolutionizing your inner world. And that's Pluto in Aquarius in the 4th house. This is a moment when Mars and Mercury square where something can erupt for radical quick change when it comes to Uranus. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius and in trine to Pluto right now, so there's a strong current going through that configuration that is adding to the opportunity for transformation. But Pluto can feel like a death of self, a death of a part of yourself. And so even though the transition is creating optimal conditions down the road, when you have Mars and Mercury squaring Pluto, there could be a moment of feeling that shift as a loss more. That will pass when these planets move on and they're quicker moving planets. So don't worry about that. But I'm pointing it out because if that shows up, see it as a moment of awareness under this full moon. And one of the things that's shifting you into better day-to-day life, better way of operating day-to-day so that you don't feel like a slave to your life and your tasks and the service that you have to do for yourself and for other people. That's the 6th house. It's an older way of looking at the archetype of the 6th house, which was historically spoken about when in connection with slavery. But in a modern perspective, I see that we can still carry that energy of life tasks feeling like a burden. And bit by bit, there's a lot of energy that speaks to shifting that into it feeling like a glowing part of our life that is necessary, but brings lovely results. And so why not enjoy the process? Jupiter in your 9th house is expanding your perspective when it comes to safety, security, emotional comfort, family, nurturing. What is it about your experiences that have created belief systems around these topics in the Cancerian realm, because that's the 9th house for you, that have not quite been fitting for your current reality or the reality you want to create? With Pluto in your 4th house and Jupiter in Cancer, which is the historical sign for the 4th house, this speaks even more to family and home, but more the beliefs that you have conditioned based on experience up until now. And Jupiter has this healing, expansive quality that is allowing more space for healing and shifting into a new reality of more nurturing and comfort. A new way of handling these dynamics that we usually get from our home and our upbringing. But what do we do as an adult to have that either transform in our lives or carry on in a way that really supports us. I see a lot of that energy for Scorpios, that this is about home. This is about finding peace in duty and service. This is about finding pleasure and joy in connections, because Venus is in your 11th house. But there's more activating you at this time. There's more speaking to this Mercury and Mars in your sign that's going to be felt this month. You're going to be feeling more chatty and expressive. This is wonderful energy to work with a therapist. You have Uranus in the 8th house, Pluto in the 4th house, and more of this short-term activation of energy that you're willing to bring to the surface with Mars and Mercury in your 1st house. And that is a nice little one-up of assistance from those planets for a Scorpio, because it's really easy for Scorpios to hang out in the heavy depths of their own watery surroundings and not let others see that or bring it to the surface. But you let me know, Scorpio. I would love to hear if Scorpios out there are feeling this momentary ability or desire to bring more to the surface, bring it out, recondition in any way, shift perspectives, shift something to do with work and tasks, and maybe even some relationship activity from your networks and communities that are supporting along the way. If you would like to process more with your personal chart, I will leave my booking link in the description below. And so again, so much fun chatting with you in the comments. Have a wonderful full moon. Thank you for being here, liking, subscribing, and just hanging out. I will see you next time. Hi, Sag. This is a full moon in your 5th house. This is all about you. This is another fire sign. This is your spirit, your heart, your creative self-expression. This is how comfortable you feel being you. This is the initial stages of getting to know someone in dating. This is romance. This is wearing your heart on your sleeve. The 5th house is children, play, hobbies, what you do for fun. Sag is typically an energy that does not have a hard time finding fun. With Aries in the 5th house, no doubt, Aries is naturally an initiator. There's action in this part of your life. So you take action towards what is fun, playful, what you need. What you need and what you want can be different, though. That's an Aries dynamic that is relevant for this full moon. There could be a new level of awareness of what you need. And maybe some of the things that you have been going after in the 5th house for bringing you joy and feeling aligned with you is on what you want. Communication plays a strong role right now. Pluto is in your 3rd house, transforming communication, mental processing and patterns, the way you speak, the way you put out media, the media you take in. Mercury is another planet of communication, and it's squaring Pluto right now. Mercury's in your 12th house with Mars. Mars has also just squared Pluto. So there's something about the subconscious realm, the stuff that's been hidden in your mental patterns, in your ability to take action. This can be intuition that comes to you and completely shifts this Pluto in your 3rd house communication piece. This could be a moment where what you do for fun is an illumination that shows you that there's a missing element of mercurial idea generating activity, communication. Mercury also rules your 7th house of partnerships. So there could be something you're not seeing in partnerships, or how you communicate ideas with a partner or with other people that are significant in your life. You could just need some rest. You could need some time out with a significant person. Maybe it's a vacation, overseas places. This could also be something to do with relationships that you don't see clearly right now, but you will. And it's the lack of clarity that is often an opportunity for transformation. And that goes back to Pluto in the 3rd house. In moments where we misunderstand something, we think we see something one way, or we don't quite fully understand, like there's a fog around it. And that can happen with Mercury in the 12th house of Neptune and Pisces. creates a fog and a lack of clarity and an unknowing. And it's through sorting through the fog that we get more answers than we would have had this part of our lives not been activated, and we just went on with life as we do. And that's where, in general, any conflicts or problems that you hear astrologers talk about, myself included, it's always an opportunity to make things better. It's not that it's a conflict or a problem, it's a focus point. It's directing our attention to something. And in this world, nothing directs our attention more than a little nagging pain or something similar. Jupiter in your 8th house in sextile to Venus in your 10th house, there's more than just surface level connections going on. This is about the energy that you meet other people with, the energy that attracts support into your life. This is about your romantic status with Venus in the 10th. This is about how much pleasure you get out of being seen. Not only that, but Venus in the 10th house has your personal appearance looking great. So if you have work presentations to do or you need to be seen in the public for any reason, Venus in the 10th house is a great energy to use for that. So schedule what you need to be seen. With Jupiter in your 8th house, there's an element of financial support that could come from this, from other people. There is an element of psychological transformation and healing for you. And this combination of energy is excellent for deepening and enriching personal bonds. Because this full moon is in your 5th house, this could speak to personal bonds, children. This could speak to fertility in general for some of you, a select few of you, because Jupiter in the 8th house is a very fertile energy of pregnancy and birth and transformation. Jupiter is in Cancer on its own, a very fertile energy. And then you have a full moon in your house of children and play. So that's one element. But at the time of this full moon, this is going to come back to what is authentically you, what is your creative baby, what brings you joy when you're in alignment with that creative part of yourself, what really lights your heart up. And that communication might have to shift in order to do that. Hidden ways of taking in information and processing information are going to be one of the tools that you have right now to reach this new level of creation. You let me know, Sag. I would love to hear how this is going for you. It's always so much fun chatting with you in the comments. And if you would like to process more with your personal chart, I will link my booking site in the description below. But for now, thank you so much for being here, checking out this video, liking, subscribing, sharing. It really means so much. Have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you next time. Hi, Capricorn. This is a 4th house full moon for you. So this is all about home, inner world, your family, where you came from, your mother, your family lineage, your actual current home. But at an energetic level, what have the conditions been that created your inner world? And which ways are those shifting right now? Especially when it comes to action. Are you taking assertive action towards the home that you want to create? Are you making impulsive choice that doesn't stand the test of time? Saturn is about to move back into Aries early next year, and that's going to be a 3-year transit where you create solid stability in your home and inner world. You even have the potential to create this Neptunian, unconditional love, idealist condition in your home life. But it comes through the hard work of Saturn, of materializing a dream. And with Aries, there could have been a lot of initiation towards that dream, but it just didn't stick. It didn't follow through. And now that's about to change. This full moon is a moment where you see what you want with more clarity when it comes to your home and inner world. And the rest of that is going to unfold next year and for the years to come. But this is a really important time because seeing what it is that we want to happen needs to happen before we create it, before we know what to choose and what to take from life and move forward with to align with our goals. You're also getting more in tune with what it is that you need versus what you want. And when you're really solid on what you need, the action is more efficient. And that's that Saturnian, your ruler, being in the 4th house now. You want to take appropriate, efficient action that's going to pay off in the end. And that's when we follow what we truly need. There's something about career reputation in the world, your status in the world, where the sun is in Libra, maybe your connections with other people in a career place, or how you take leadership and authority out in the world with others. That's what's shining a light on the moon right now and showing you something about your inner world that is reaching a new level at this moment. Jupiter's in your 7th house of partnership, sextiling Venus in your 9th house. This is beautiful energy for expanding partnerships, healing partnerships, and related to shared perspectives of the world. Venus in your 9th house could mean romance with foreign people, foreign places, foreign experiences, new teachers coming into your life, becoming a teacher yourself. But with Venus here, there's an element of pleasure and enjoying this shift of whatever's happening. Maybe you're seeing the world through a more positive, pleasurable lens. Maybe foreign women or female teachers are coming into your life. It doesn't have to be that. It's a very small example. Venus rules women and pleasurable experiences, sensuality, security, finances. Maybe you're getting paid for teaching and or publishing, which is also covered in the 9th house. So these are some of the material ways that this could show up. Energetically, it's through partnerships that you are healing your perspective in some way. Mars and Mercury are in your 11th house, squaring Pluto in your 2nd house. It's through networks, connection to other people, internet connections, your audience. You're motivated to connect. And that's transforming your values with Pluto in the 2nd. There's something that you maybe held on to as far as assets or your own self-worth that is shifting and is coming through your connections to other people. For Capricorn, this is a time where you are more motivated than usual to connect with communities, the masses, connecting online, doing work online. And with the Scorpio element that Mercury and Mars are taking on, you want to go deep. You don't want surface chit-chat in communities or even online. You want to really turn over that rock and see what's underneath and see what's beneath the surface and understand the depths of what these communities and networks mean in your life. And when you have that richness in your connections, then there's something about your assets and your self-worth that is really having a moment of shift right now. Because this is such a strong energy alongside the moon with Mercury and Mars squaring Pluto, there will be an element of that that has to do with this moment of the moon of a new level of awareness of self. You're getting really strong in who you are, Capricorn. You're seeing the gifts and the assets that you have to bring to the world that's feeding your self-worth and creating a platform for more. And it might even be motivating you to reach out to networks. There could be that element that it's through transforming how you see yourself and what you have to offer that you're motivated to shift the way that you show up in relationships and networks. Connected relationships with Jupiter in your 7th house, which is your committed partnerships, your karmic relationships, your significant bonded long-term relationships, work, friends, marriage partners. But in the 11th house, these are your looser networks. And Capricorn might put more energy into significant bonds at the cost of the looser community connections, because there's a narrower focus with Capricorn ways of being, not as expansive like the typical 11th house networking energy. That's going to differ for everyone's chart, of course. You might have placements that completely contradict that. But just as a Capricornian element, many of you might suddenly feel more willing to expand, and it's going to be really good for your assets and your self-worth. It's going to be really good for deciding how you use your energy, where you conserve and where you let more out, where you direct more energy in your life in an efficient Capricornian, purposeful way. Because that's why Capricorn can sometimes have more of a narrow focus rather than a big community, is that there's a practicality to what a Capricorn will choose. And that means that there's not a wasted, scattered energy. But at times there's purpose in that. There can be fun in that. And it is through some of those more casual, looser community connections that something more rich and deep could come. There's energy that has to do with refining your communication, with Saturn going back into Pisces for one last visit and Neptune there soon too. Just a short mention on that, because we've talked so much about this part of your chart with the eclipses where Pisces is, but this is another moment where Saturn plays a role in refining your communication and your thoughts about the world, creating words to what seems eternal and unable to put into words, maybe. So there is an element of that. But mostly this is about your home, your inner world, the family you came from, how it's changing, how it's supporting your connections, personal one-on-one connections, as well as your bigger connections. I would love to know how this is going for you, Capricorn. It's so much fun chatting with you in the comments below. But home stuff and inner world and family dynamics and how we became who we are based on our family lineage. These are big scattered topics. So it would be great to hear how this is showing up for you. And if you would like to process more with a one-on-one reading with me, check out my booking link in the description below. But for now, have a wonderful full moon. Thank you so much for just being here, checking out this video, liking, subscribing, sharing, and I will see you in the next one.